Oh, I'm the intro.
Meanwhile, I'm like,
I
wow.
No, right? I'm like so used to Christina. Welcome back to Dieta, a space where we talk openly about the systems and how they shape how we see our food, our bodies, and ourselves. We cover various topics, including eating disorders, disordered eating, and diet culture through a lens that blends our clinical experience, our cultural perspective, and commitment to community healing. So, as a brief intro, we have Nico, who's our nurse practitioner. We have Christina, who's the registered dietitian, and myself and Veronica are the clinical therapists. Today, we'll actually be talking about the knowledge share that we all attended last week. We attended what's called Maíz is the umbilical portal to our indigeneity, healing our relationship with food and belonging. This talk was facilitated by Gloria Lucas of Nagona Positivity Pride. And if you listened to us last week, you kind of heard the spiel already of who she is, what she does, and why it's so important for us to attend this knowledge share series. So last week, like I said, was the first part of the series. So there's going to be three parts, and basically each week we're going to be kind of talking over our reflections from each part of the series. So today will just be a short and sweet conversation about our initial takeaways from this teaching and other thoughts about just content that it might have sparked. But before we get into it, I want to share a brief disclaimer. So our disclaimer is this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, nutritional, legal, or any other professional advice. We are not liable. The content is not intended to replace personal professional advice, and it is recommended that you seek advice from a qualified professional if you have any concerns. Listener discretion is advised if you are a young listener under 18. That and the views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not reflect those of any other employer, organization, or sponsor. But if we want to sponsor, but sponsors feel free to still sign up with us. We need sponsors. So now that this is done, I guess I can start kind of the intro into the conversation. So basically what we're going to do again, this is short and sweet. So we're just going to kind of have everybody go around and share their takeaways or their reflections from the talk. We're not going to necessarily be like re-educating everybody on what the talk is. Go watch it yourselves. There's free access to part 2 and 3, or you can pay for the bundle. We're just going to be sharing our reflections. So spoiler alert.
Sure.
Who wants to go first?
Um, I can jump in since we kind of ordered ourselves in our documents. So I think the first part was like I found to be a very like grounding intro because it like covered a lot of like history, where did Maíz come from, why is it important, how it has impacted like basically the impact has been felt across continent, right? And like into the world and how it has like traveled and transformed and all of that. And I think something that Gloria shared with us that I didn't know, which I mean like admittedly I am not a green thumb. I envy people that can keep plants alive. But I didn't know that maize can't grow without human interaction. And we see so many plants that like they just pop up out of nowhere and you're like, wow, who gave you this life? And to me, like the things that came to mind during that like little snippet of information were really like highlighting how like this plant relies so much on people to protect it, to harvest it, and to then also make sure it's saving seeds to keep the cycles going. And for us, and like I think a lot of Latina communities, we value and like at our center is like this I don't know, very sacred feeling towards community and depending on one another, and how we're really like big on if one person is struggling, we're all going to show up. I know we have called out how sometimes the showing up is not always the best, but no matter what, it's like always at the core of like I'm gonna ride for you. We're gonna figure this out and we're gonna keep each other alive. So they have this like Maíz and humans have this very like symbiotic relationship where they nurture and nourish each other. If you keep me alive to my cycle, I'm going to provide you the nourishment I have to give you, and that's going to help not only feed you, but it's going to help cure your body, look after you. It's going to help you honor your culture because, beyond food, it's also used for so many like rituals and celebrations and all that stuff. And without rambling too much, that's kind of what called to me, like
Hmm.
family and community and how that speaks to the Latine identity.
Yeah. I feel like it's very like art imitates life or life imitates art,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
But the art is the
exactly.
food. Hmm.
Yep.
Right. What's
I
your
can
next?
go.
Yeah,
Or yeah,
for it.
because I think I want to type it with the community piece. Because I was seeing similarly, and that was beautiful, Christina. Because I was like, yes, because I was like, there is so much in that where I was like, how am I supposed to remember this? I can write down the facts that Gloria was sharing, but I was like, but then there was a lot more that was deeper with each kind of slide that was presented. So, anyways, I'm so happy you were able to portray it in one way that I kind of forgot about from last week. What I was looking at it was I did write some quotes from what she had shared, which she probably had taken from maybe one of the readings, but one of them was Somos gente de maíz sagrado. It's like we're people of sacred maíz. And that goes similarly to that symbiotic relationship you share, Christina. And just how, and I think also just physically, not just symbolically, we literally are food. We're also water or other molecules, but like we literally need that to be alive. And so I
Mhm.
also saw that is very powerful, knowing that the other way around is true for food, maize especially too. That we have to work with each other to keep each other alive and keep the kind of the energy and life force going on this
Hmm.
earth. And it's not just the food and ourselves, but also, yes, the community, because we're also involving nature, working with each other in the context of our world. And how do we keep that going? How do we keep it nourished to keep cycling through, right? When something dies and it has to renew. So I found that very important too, with how also there were a lot of stories with cosmology and how the world was created, and just folk tales with how maize, and maybe we can see that in other aspects with other foods, is
Hmm.
always intertwined with that, with ourselves, whether it's to go through a burden or to overcome a stepping stone is being humans now that we're on this world. So, yeah, I always saw that as being, now I see it too with food being kind of an ally for
Hmm.
ourselves, and that it's also a two-way relationship. I think we tend to forget that in the world now, since we are always hearing about things that are efficiency focused with food, like
Hmm.
this has the highest amount of protein, right? I literally saw that in some salad mix the other day. I'm like, this amount of protein. I'm like, we're so focused on efficiency, and we forget that there's a lot more simplicity and just
Hmm.
this relationship than what we tend
Right.
to forget. So I think that was a really good reminder about the basics of how nourishment and humankind came together and
Yeah.
how we still needed that to occur.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And what you made me think about too when you said like efficiency, it's like also like what can we get out of this? Right?
yes.
Like what can I extract from this relationship? And I think you and Christina both said it, like both pointed this out of like where it's that symbiotic relationship, like they can't survive without us and we can't survive without them. And I think like it made me think about like an eating disorder world. It's so taught to be like an individualistic experience. Like you need to get better for you and you need to do this and you need to do that. It's not, it's very rare that you truly are bringing in the community around that client to be like, no, you like your support person is no better than you and you are no better than your support person in that sense. Like
Yeah.
even though right now you are needing the support, that person that you're getting support from will also need support from you, right? But I think it's always very deemed as like, well, one-sided, which like obviously that person's down bad, so it is in that sense, like in that moment and it's one-sided. But I think we forget like, no, this is just part of the relationship, and I think that's where like the burden talk comes from. I think I feel like everybody could agree. They hear it a lot when the client is asking for help of like, well, I don't want to be a burden, but I think that's because we've been conditioned to think that I need to get something out of you if I need to serve you if you are helping me. And it's like,
Hmm.
sure, at some point it can be in that process, but it's not like a then it becomes too transactional,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Opposed to like we are both actually equal. At some point I will suffer and right now you are suffering, and how do we help each other kind of like through that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
like both stay alive.
Yeah, I actually didn't think about it in a relationship sense with other people in community. I was thinking too with efficiency of like how we tend to see food versus being an experience of like,
Mm,
wow, I grew this in my garden, or wow, this is a recipe from my abuelita from
Mhm.
generations, or this is a celebration meal. And so it's not just, yeah, transactional, like I'm just taking a pill and I expect an effect. It's much more. But yeah, that is also a good point with relationships and
Mhm.
healing.
I think that transactional like aspect of it is something that unfortunately I think like as a society mostly right like westernized and colonialized like I think that's what where that's really kind of rooted in. So just kind of hearing, like Gloria speak, I was like, ooh, because we think of maíz, we think of, corn for those who may not, understand Spanish, right? We think of
Yeah.
maíz, we think of corn. We don't for some we forget I think history behind it, right? For myself included, like I didn't realize or recognize how much power is held, right, with Maíz until listening to Glow and just the amazing research, right, that she really did and being able to connect the dots for us. One of the things in particular is like recognizing that maíz is more than just food, right? Or a symbol, like it's life. And I think that that's something that we forget, especially just like right now in these times, and then just really seeing the power that maíz has and the connections that are made through it, right? Like Christina, like all of you all, like said it beautifully, just examples of the different ways that those connections are made simply via maíz, you know?
Mhm. Do I go?
Yes. You,
I didn't
Stacy.
want to like. I was like, but no, obviously, yeah. Like I think I appreciate that we all attended because I do think it's like I don't oops, I'm back. Um, I have 5% left, so I'm gonna still discharge it as I'm talking.
Technology has been trying us tonight.
Oh,
Is
Mhm.
it
it
all
is. I thought I was plugged in, but I guess I'm probably gonna go back and look and see that the thing wasn't all the way plugged in. Okay. Oh my God. Now we're good. Okay. Now we're good. So to Christina's point of like, I think making sure we're consistently learning about like the origins of our food, ironically, because we all work in eating disorders, has never been like how we were taught to think about eating disorders. Like we were never taught like understand the importance of food like ancestrally. We are thought of like the we were taught like maybe like the very basic level, and also depends I think like what like eating disorder therapist camp essentially you come from of like how you were taught to think about food. And I think like we got such like a I don't even want to say basic like I don't want to say whitewashed either because that doesn't feel like the right word, but like a version of between those two of like this like watered down, I should say,
Mm.
version of the importance of food. Like I always knew like family was important. I think that's really what got me into eating disorders because I'm not someone with lived experience. So like I really enjoyed it. And people would always ask me like, well, why are you like, how did you get attracted to this field? And I'd always be like, I don't know. Like I did this thing. Like I would give them examples. Like I'd be like, well, I had someone who had an eating disorder in high school that was my close friend, and we like, I remember like looking on the internet, being like, what's wrong? She like told me the symptoms, and I was like, what is that?
Mm,
And then like I worked in it, and I like through the body image realm and like women,
Mm,
empowerment realm. But I was like, that doesn't felt like an answer. And then like after years being in it, I was like, oh, because I like love being sitting at a table with food around people and like helping them heal that experience, whether it was like a familial wound or wound within themselves. Like I loved that. Like I love just see it, even if it was like because people are always like, well, RFID people don't necessarily have the same experience. That is true, but I still loved sitting. Oh, I loved having RFID clients. Like I loved having to think how they would think about food and like the textures and the smells and like. But it again brought me so much in relationship with them because I was like, oh, well, if you like that, you might like this one, right? Like it
mm,
helped you to just like connect with them so different, but all of it came back to connection. And I think being able to even further understand how that works, like really just having a full education through Gloria, because that girl brings the receipts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is always just so affirming to, I think, the not even the work that we do, because I think it's more so the trajectory of the work that we want to do,
Yes.
right? Um, my part that I was going to bring in that I took away as well was really understanding like the calendar, like understanding like the calendar system of like the history lesson of that, and really like just having to sit with like how far we have actually come from like a harvest calendar or a solar calendar. And when we bring in like the capitalism of it all, like we've talked about, I think I forgot which podcast we did, but we like, I know we talked briefly about like even like how the 9 o'clock breakfast, 12 o'clock, and 6 o'clock dinner is really just came like birth out of like the industrial boom, or what's it, industrial era?
Industrialization, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And because people needed like a lunchtime versus like, are people actually hungry? What are like, I think like Mexico lunch, I was like 2 o'clock when kids got off school and they could eat lunch with their families. I was like, what a concept. Like that's so sweet, right? They'd have like a little snack, at school, but like they'd come home and like eat lunch with their family and then do like a later dinner, right? So it actually like centered. I don't know if this is the the core of it or why it started, but it really does center like the family unit as like sitting down, eating a warm meal, and like just spending time together, like that care when like a kiddo is done from school and they're tired and they're hungry and whatever, and you get to sit and they have like something to look forward to after the end of the day. But anyways, but yeah, the calendar essentially of like how far we've gotten from that, and how essentially corn, because it's so old, kind of like started that process. And just corn in of itself, like how many transitions it's kind of undergone, like even learning about like the one of the original uses was more so as like a form of like sugar product, rather than like how it's used today. But even how it's used today, even if it's a tortilla, like how that has been commodified. And like when like diet culture, when like gluten-free became like a more prominent thing in our culture, like I remember all of a sudden corn tortillas, which were always gluten-free because they're corn, now had the label of gluten-free, right? And not so much to keep people safe, but to more so for the diet industry, right? Because that's when it was deemed like gluten was like an unsafe food, right? Or a diet, gluten was like a not diet friendly item. And so like how far we have come, where this like grain, this one little, little corn. I think of like she did like I wish we had the visual, but we can't do the visual for wanting to protect her IP, but there was like a little ant carrying this big kernel, right? So we came from that. That's where it all started, of like creating this whole system and calendar and way of living, and like what your world is really surrounded by, and like how, and like kind of like the bastardization really of how it is now and what it's seen, and how it's even like I think I shared an article with y'all a while back of like how Mexico has like regulations of like not even like fucking with US corn. Yeah. Right. Like they don't fuck with us because we've turned it into this thing that it really wasn't intended to be. And it's really like if we think of our people, like the amount of corn we're consuming and how they're creating it versus how Mexico has it, like how it actually is damaging, like how they have damaged our food systems or like watered down our food systems, and how harmful it is, but then blame us and tell us, well, you have diabetes, you need to lose weight. But like not actually looking at like the quality of, or not even the quality of our food, because that sounds like diety, but even like why we're in this space in the first, like the whole legacy behind it. And so I think, corn, it just was interesting to see like how far we have come from like how it started. And I know a lot of things transform over time, but I think specifically, obviously with this talk of like really how far we are from it. But I think it's also nice because it's like, okay, well now we know this, like how I think I'm assuming the idea behind Gloria's thing is like, how do we slingshot, like we went that way, like how do we kind of like
bring it
start
back.
to come back?
Where's the boomerang? Come back.
Yeah, where's the boomerang? Like we're never gonna go back to like square one, just because we'd have to literally burn it all down. But yeah, like what, even just like a dreaming of a world of what it would look like to like get closer. Yeah,
Right.
those
Yeah.
are my
No.
thoughts. I know this was just like a short little pod, and we are 5:59, guys, on time. But is there any other thoughts, feels, reflections from what everyone else said that you wanted to add?
No, just impressed with how much corn, maíz, the idea of just the kernel, how much that has like opened up with what we already know, but kind of those realizations that we're kind of putting together. So I think it's just been amazing to see that with this little maíz story that
Mm-hmm.
we're
Yeah,
reflecting on. So
yeah.
Excited for the next part.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next part. For those of you who are joining us, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll, you guys will participate in this conversation. Gloria is going to be doing this teaching. Part 2 is on Thursday. Part 3 is the next Thursday. Free access for free live access. So go. She records it, gives you 24 hours to watch it. It's a great resource. If you want to still join, you can buy just the bundle, which I think I'm probably just going to end up buying the bundle because I want to rewatch the first one. It comes with a lot of resources, especially regardless if you're like new to this or true to this. It's still I don't feel like it's like further than where anybody could be. Like I feel like she's doing such a good illustration of like starting with just like not basic information, but like I don't know, information that's
Digestible
easy to
Foundational.
digest.
information.
Yeah, digestible information. Yeah. So yeah, go to her Instagram, Nagona Positivity Pride. She has all the links there. She's great with social media. So if you can't find her, it's a user issue. We'll also post her on our things. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Well, all of us will at that point have watched part 2, and then we'll kind of do the same thing of just reflection. So join us in the conversations if you're watching it too, or yeah, any of that. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week.